Good afternoon, everybody. I heard a great quote once, and it was the fact that most people have a job, not a career. Because a career is said to be something where there's advancement, something where there is a sense of fulfillment and pride in what you do. And this ties very importantly into the topic that we're about to discuss. Why are so many people unhappy with their jobs? Why do so many people feel unfulfilled by their jobs? You see, it feels like I'm going into a bit of a spiral at the minute, talking about work and the cost of living crisis in the UK. It's not really the sort of content that I film that often. However, recently, I've just been hearing so much stuff in the comments which inspires me to make more videos around the same subject. And this concept that people should pick themselves up and work. We used to be happy with work. Why has the work ethic gone? Well, we need to have a little discussion about that. Going back to the topic that I initially mentioned of most people having a job, not a career, is very important to understand this because when a lot of people say that they enjoy work or they're happy to work, I feel like there is a sense of sort of survivorship bias in there. And what I mean is, the people who say that work's good, work's fulfilling, that I know, maybe it's just my little group of people, or the people who genuinely like their job, the people who feel like they get paid fairly, they feel like they have career progression, or maybe they're just happy with where they are. They're the ones who will tell you that work is fun, exciting, because it is. They're the people who have a career. They enjoy what they do. Some people love what they do and wouldn't do anything else. I would say that for the majority of people, that is honestly not the case. I'd say that most people are just doing their jobs to get by. And this is very important when we go on to the topic of why most people are not happy with their work. I feel like there is a direct correlation between people's job, what they feel like it provides for themselves, for society, and how happy they are with it. When we look around at the jobs market today, what do we see? Specifically in the UK, right? But in a lot of the world, we see low pay, 0 hours contracts, low skills, low responsibilities, or sometimes high responsibilities and low skills. Lacks of career progression, lacks of job security and stability. And then people wonder why people are not happy with work. We spoke about the fact the other week that a lot of people are actually, and it is not really fair, but a lot of people are better off by not working than what they are by working. And think about that from a common sense perspective. Wrongly or rightly, who's going to go and spend realistically 10 hours of their day, because it's not 8 hours, it's a commute as well for a lot of people, to do something that they don't like, to be worse off than if they did nothing at all? That's part of the problem that we're facing at the minute, and that's just the truth. But going back to the point, right, that's the situation that we're in. Most people don't like their jobs. They feel like they're not rewarded fairly, there's no progression, and this is part of the issue. Increasingly in jobs fields, the opportunities that open up to people are limited to a select number of people. You need to have a certain set of characteristics, qualifications, and understandings, years of experience to even get basic level jobs, and that's if you can even find them. The amount of people I know with good levels of education, degrees, master's degrees, in good subjects. I'm not talking about people who are masters in art or film design. I'm talking about people who are masters in important subjects, and they're working in shops, warehouses. There's no demand for their jobs. It's almost funny because I've known people who've gone for low-skilled jobs, and the jobs that they've gone for have paid like what? 50p, that's 50 pence for those that don't know, a pound more than the average minimum wage job. And just by increasing it by that small amount, people feel like their company loves them. They feel like they want to work a lot harder. It's amusing in a way, but that's the reality of it. It doesn't take much to engage people. And the reasons, the means for people to be engaged nowadays feel to be increasingly less. Just have a think about the jobs market today. We've got 0 hours contracts, the gig economy, temporary workers, all these different things. Combine that with relatively low pay, oftentimes long hours, oftentimes if you're on salary as well, unpaid overtime. It's one thing to be a minimum wage worker, but at the end of the day, at least you get paid for the hours that you do. I know of people who are graduates who are working 50, 60 plus hours, unpaid overtime. Crunch the numbers, they'd be better off working at McDonald's, and that's just the truth of it. And the traditional argument might be, well, at least you're going to get some skills. You're going to get some skills. You can translate these skills into a good career, a higher paying job, a higher paying position. But then you look around, it's not that uncommon for people to get replaced by, again, graduates. That's if they can even get graduate jobs in the first place, but they're going to hire the cheapest workers that they can. As soon as you hit the maximum of your pay scale, pay grade, whatever, a lot of companies would be happy, and in a lot of cases are happy, to look for somebody else. Why would you get somebody to do the work for double the price? Or 30% more, or 50% more? From a capitalistic standpoint, it simply doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. I know some people who absolutely love their jobs. I know some people who get to travel all around the world with work. Some people who get paid very well, they've got nice things to own, and yeah, there is an argument to upskilling yourself here, but obviously not everybody can be an upskilled worker. At the same point, not everybody wants to be. But that middle tier of not minimum wage, but not high responsibilities, maybe things like middle management or stuff like that. Basic office jobs, let's say, to give it a broad umbrella term. They're increasingly hard to get if we have a look. People say there's more job openings than ever, but try applying for them. It's not as much to do with a bad CV as you might think. If it was, the experience wouldn't be universal. Because a lot of people are seeing this in the UK, in the US, in Canada. It's just the truth. But like I say, the jobs that a lot of people get, they're not jobs with career progression. They're not jobs with upskilling potential or opportunities. They're not jobs with very, very good pay or decent pay. And again, this is a funny thing. People like to make this argument that people are lazy nowadays, which, in a lot of ways, is true. No denial about that fact at all. But at the same time, the reality of it is this. I know people from previous generations, of course it wasn't everybody, but some people who were simply able to start at the bottom of a company and work their way up to a very decent upper middle management position, or potentially even upper management. Imagine trying to get into a company like that today and do the same. Well, you already need 3 years of experience after your degree. That's assuming the fact that you already need a degree to begin with. Then, like I say, look at the pay situation, look at the responsibilities, what's expected. And look at the fact that in a lot of cases, interns, graduate programs, a lot of the time they get rid quite quickly after, because they can just get somebody to work for cheaper, somebody who needs that experience to move on to their next step. This is the reality of it. And yeah, maybe there is an argument for the fact that we should suck it up, but at the same time, I know people in the comment section, right? I'm not saying I know them personally, but think about this. I know a lot of people like to make this argument, well, it's the older people that cause this mess. Maybe it is, but I know a lot of people in the comment section, I've seen a lot of people from the previous generations, the last generation, the previous generation before that, and even before that, right? Who think, the way that it is right now is not correct, is not fair. Companies don't try it as easily. This idea that you're just going to be able to get a decent job, you can't just walk out of one job and into the next. You might be able to walk out, go back home, do some computer applications, and 100, 200, 300 applications later, you might get an interview or two, if you're lucky. And again, like I say, most people have a job, not a career. If people had a career, or even a fulfilling job, where they felt something in the company, in the business for themselves, a reward for just a small reward, right, for a little bit of hard work, maybe a company night out every once in a while, or any sense of community in the business. It's increasingly not true, and people are waking up to it. I feel like that's why a lot of people are so unhappy with their jobs at the minute.